Welcome to our final video in our series introducing you to Marshall Goldsmith coaching and our stakeholder-centered coaching methodology. Finally, we're going to get to the role of the stakeholder. Besides the leader, collectively, these stakeholders play the most important role in assisting the leader improve. How do they do this? Two things. First, their general orientation or perspective, and the second thing, the set of skills they bring to assist the leader. So what are the three basic sets of skills they bring? First, they're positive and they act in ways to be supportive to the leader. Second, they actively pay attention and observe how the leader is progressing. And third, they act in ways that are helpful to the leader. Now, before we get into these skills, let's go back to that orientation or perspective. Now, my wife and I, on our 50th wedding anniversary, collectively decided we're going to buy this statue by a fabulous Portland artist, Martin Eckinger, and the title is On Wings of Hope. And this is exactly relevant for that perspective or orientation of a good stakeholder. What do? They will choose to be supportive because they have the needed hope that the leader will improve. They will loosen their grip on prior perception of the leader's behavior from the past, and they choose to give the leader a fresh start. What this means is they will not hold on to the past, continually dredge up old memories, and act cynical or sarcastic about what the leader is doing. Let's look at the first skill of good stakeholders. They are willing to support their leaders as they work to improve. And specifically, what this means is the first thing they'll do is they will be willing to share what they see and what they're thinking about in terms of how the leader is implementing their action plan. And so when they give feedback, they do it in a truthful manner, and they just don't look in the past, they look towards the future. And they'll give suggestions on how the leader can do a better job in the coming weeks and the coming months. And when you think about doing a better job, stakeholders seem to be very supportive, right? They have a stake. What they could do a better job themselves at the beginning is how they pay attention and how they act helpful. So let's first look at paying attention. How does a good stakeholder pay attention? In observing a leader's behavior, this is how they do it. They spend more time being attentive to what the leader is doing right. They will notice when the leader is doing something almost right. And by far the hardest part, because this is kind of what you don't see, they observe when a leader is missing an opportunity to implement something in their plan. The final quality of a good stakeholder is that they act in a helpful manner. Now, what does this mean? It means it really boils down to two things. First, timeliness. They're timely in giving any feedback or suggestion to the leader. And the second part is what they give is very concrete, specific, observable behavior. So, a couple of examples here might help. Let's talk about a leader, let's say, being more collaborative. Now, in this case, here's a very supportive stakeholder who's paying attention. This is what the stakeholder says. It says, I gotta tell you, you're working on collaborating and you're getting so much better and are so much more effective as a collaborator than you used to be. Now, that's wonderful and it feels good, yet, it's not that helpful. Now, what would be a more helpful way for this person to give this feedback? They would say something like this. I know you're working on being more collaborative. And let me give you an example. In our weekly staff meeting, whenever you get to the key issue on the agenda, what I've noticed is you're going around to each person and asking for their input and not allowing anyone else to comment until everyone gets their ideas on the table. Then you use all of this input in your analysis and decision making. You know what this actually does? It makes everyone on that team feel like they're participating and contributing. Now, how does that differ? Well, much more helpful because it gives what the leader is doing, where and when the leader is doing, and the implication of what they're doing. Much more helpful. Now, let's switch to the future. We're also supposed to give suggestions as a good stakeholder. Now, let's just say, remember, leaders working on collaborating. This is what one person says, again, this more generalized person trying to be supportive, paying attention, and they say something along the lines of this. You know, I know you're working on collaborating. I got an idea for you, what you might want to do more of. And that is, be more inclusive of other people, you know, outside of the meetings. And you go, okay, what am I supposed to do? Now, if they have to think like that, it's not that helpful in terms of suggestion. Now, here's a much better suggestion. Same kind of person comes to the leader, stakeholder, and says, you know, I know you're working on collaborating. You could be a lot more inclusive. Now, this is what I suggest you do. What I suggest you do is when you're thinking of a new idea, go around to other people, share what you're thinking about, and ask for their ideas. And as they're talking, listen specifically for insights you didn't have before. So when they're finished, point that out to them. So, you know, you've expanded my thinking because of what you said here, and then work with them, building this into an expanded way you're thinking about things. And again, that's something that's observable, concrete, what a leader can do. Much better suggestion, or what we call feed forward. Now, in conclusion, what does a good stakeholder do? Good stakeholders approach their role from a position of hopefulness the leader will improve, and choose first to be positive and act supportive with their leader. They pay attention to how the leaders implement their action plan, and they provide both feedback and feed forward with observable behavior in a timely fashion. Now, hope is defined as a feeling of a desire or expectation that something will happen. And if both the leader and the stakeholders commit to their roles, that hope that the leader will have a sustainable, positive change in behavior is realized. Thank you so much for watching.